It's time to take your business to the next level, the boss level. These are the premier business owner strategies and successes being utilized by the industry's top talent today. Rock your business like a boss, a VO boss. Now let's welcome your host, Ann Ganguza.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the VO Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Ann Ganguza, and this is the Real Boss series. I'm happy to welcome back to the show Real Boss guest co-host, Tom Dheere. Tom, thanks so much for joining me.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
I love having real talk. I think there's so many things in this industry that sell the dream of being a VO artist, being a VO actor, making money, just talking behind your microphone, all of those things. And I like to think that Tom and I have been in the industry for so long that, God, we've seen it all. And we're just going to be real with you guys because I think that everyone deserves the real talk, the real story behind voiceover. And I'm going to tell you that I had a student this week who came to me, a beginner, and who was asking me all about agents. And they were under the impression that they needed an agent in order to get the work, and that the agent would be the one that got all the work for them. And all they had to do was perform behind the mic. So perhaps we should talk about some myths and truths about what this industry is really about. And we'll start with agents, Tom.
Sure. One of the biggest challenges for voice actors coming into the industry, aspiring voice actors, is that most of them feel that they immediately need to relieve themselves of the responsibility of actually doing the work to get the work.
Without realizing that.
Yeah, and that's exactly the mindset that your student that you just referred to has. It's like, the second I get into the industry, I got to find someone who will do all the work for me because that's how it works, right? So a huge myth is that you need an agent to be a successful voice actor.
I'll be honest, Tom. When I first started, I didn't know, right? Again, we talk about this all the time. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So here we are, bosses. For those of you just starting out, you don't need an agent. And Tom, we're going to expand on that. But I used to think that I would get an agent and then that would give me all of my work. And I erroneously thought that. And then once I realized very quickly that that wasn't the case, I proceeded to work for 4 years full-time before I got my first agent. So
yeah, I don't remember how long it took. I know my longest standing representative I got in 2005. So it's been 18 years that I've worked with that particular manager. But everyone that repped me before that was selling me stuff or wouldn't pay me on time, or it was just a big mess.
Oh, well, that was a different time, Tom, right?
Yes.
Yeah, with agents that we didn't really know who they were, and there were people that did take advantage. I don't know if that exists so much anymore, but that might be a different podcast, Tom.
I do know one of my students just said this week that there's a particular agent that they have that keeps bothering about, oh, you need new headshots. You got to come to me to get headshots, but you have to pay me. I know a guy. You want to stay on my roster, you got to work.
I know a guy.
So I think it still happens, just a lot less than it used to, mostly because of education reasons. Most people now know what it means to be a franchised agent, which is one that is certified, approved by SAG-AFTRA. So that's one of them. But yeah, you don't necessarily, and the operative term is necessarily, need an agent to be a successful voice actor, because you, as a voice actor, need to define what success is for you as a voice actor. And that will tell you if you need an agent. You want to narrate audiobooks? You don't need an agent. You want to be in Fallout, Halo, Cartoon Network pilot? Yeah, you probably need an agent.
You want to do a national spot commercial? Probably.
Right.
Although I would say local spots, maybe not so much anymore, but national spots, probably you're going to need an agent. And I think the one thing is to be educated on, first of all, what an agent does and truly what is in the best interest of an agent, right? Agents are a business as well, right? They want to make money just as much as we want to make money. So how are they going to make money? They're going to develop relationships with clients who will then hire them to cast or help cast for voiceover jobs. And typically, they will be spots that will be paid with usage intact. And so there's an opportunity to make a percentage of money each and every time that voice gets used. And that's why agents will deal a lot in commercial or anything that's broadcast. And anything that's non-broadcast typically does not require an agent. So again, Tom, as you mentioned, e-learning, corporate, anything that's one and done. But I'm going to just kind of put this out here, Tom.
Okay.
With the advent of synthetic voices, and I know we had a wonderful podcast episode about that not so long ago. And actually, we're going to be at eVocation talking about AI voices.
Yes, we're going to be on the same panel talking about that.
Yeah. I think that we have to start thinking about maybe changing that non-broadcast in perpetuity clause. I mean, I know that for me, with the coming up of synthetic voices, I have been really wanting to put like a time limit on all my non-broadcast stuff. Just at the end of my little contract or my email, it'll say this is for a year. And most people, if I'm doing a one-off, they're not going to need it or the content will expire after a year. And so that's okay. So I actually put a time limit on it. So I kind of give it usage, but not necessarily broadcast usage, which every year, well, of course, it would be great. You're going to pay me again, right? In a year, I'm going to do another content module for you.
Right.
But yeah, I diverge off of that. But yeah, so for agents, you don't necessarily need an agent, but I do get corporate work from my agents quite a bit.
Literally yesterday, I narrated 2 explainer videos for a company through one of my agents. And so, yeah, once in a while, it'll be an explainer or corporate thing. But yeah, the majority of the stuff that I get through my agents and managers is like political, which is broadcast. And I get a lot of pharma commercials, but like spec demo stuff, which doesn't necessarily turn into broadcast. And if they do choose my voice and it does turn into broadcast, then I get paid for the usage beyond just the internal usage of the project. So yes, do you know who is it said that agents are like baseball cards? They're fun to collect, but only a couple are valuable?
I love that. I think that's really true.
Yeah, somebody in our industry said that.
That's very interesting. I have 11. But in reality, pandemics come and go and markets shift and change. And so I have a couple of agents that I think I really stick with because they know me, they know my voice, they give me opportunities that are catered to my voice. And it's not necessarily a cattle call. And I'm not belittling any agent that does that because agents are busy. I mean, if they've got work, they want to make it available to their roster. And I think that that's a wonderful thing.
Right.
But you don't have to have a ton of agents either. I mean, really just work with the ones that you have a great relationship with, and that becomes fruitful for both of you.
Yeah, and it is a synergistic relationship. And here's another myth when it comes to agents is that most voice actors think that they work for their agents. That is not
that's a good one.
true. You work with your agents. It's a complementary, synergistic B2B relationship because they can't make money without you and you can make money without them if you think about it because you can use other ways of booking voiceover work, which we'll talk about down the road. But just remember, it's an equal relationship and you need to vet your agent and ask them the right questions to see if they're a good fit for you if you have determined that they're right for you at this current point in your voiceover journey. And for the vast majority of voice actors who are starting out, you do not need an agent. You don't.
Agreed.
You also don't have value yet. You don't have the value delivery that an agent would want you for the most part.
Yeah, typically they're looking for, you've already done some work, so typically they're looking for some experience in the field and a recommendation typically. All right, let's talk another myth, all right? And it's another big one that always causes a lot of controversy, pay-to-plays, right? Pay-to-plays, okay. Do you need pay-to-plays? Do you not need pay-to-plays? If you use pay-to-plays, you're a loser because you're bringing down the value of the industry. There's just so many things, and especially certain pay-to-plays, right? Oh, if you use this pay-to-play, you're evil, or you're working for the enemy, or whatever it is. You know, I think that there are good pay-to-play online casting sites, and there are online casting sites that maybe wouldn't want to align myself with. But that's a personal preference. It is a decision I make for my business. But yeah, I think myths about pay-to-plays is if you are on them, you are a bottom feeder. Right. Tom, what are your thoughts?
Here's the thing about that, Anne, is that every sector of every industry, of every business on the planet has a percentage of people who are sketchy, shady bottom feeders. Every single industry. The voiceover industry is no exception. There are a percentage of people, because there are humans doing this, a percentage of them will be predatory, that will try to get you to do voiceovers for as little money as possible and clone your voice or turn it into a commercial, do stuff.
And speaking of which, if I can just interject, right? That's the whole discussion about AI as well. You will have bad actors. You will have evil companies that will try to steal your voice. The same thing, right?
Right. A percentage of them, AI, pay to play, or anyone else, will try to take advantage of you. And there are a percentage of voice actors, regardless of how they're booking their voiceover work, will be unscrupulous because there are a percentage of voice actors who try to go behind the back of their agent and work directly with the producer. And just like there's a percentage of them who are on certain pay-to-play sites whose guideline says you need to maintain the relationship with the client on site for reasons that I totally understand, and they will try to undermine that. So pay-to-plays does not make people unscrupulous. Unscrupulous people go to pay-to-play sites. They have agents. They do all sorts of stuff. So I do not buy that argument. It's also pay-to-plays is just a reflection of technology and the economy of supply and demand.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tom, for saying that. I mean, really, I worked in technology. So having been in that industry for, over 20 years, it happens, guys. Technology happens. We're not stopping it. We can fight it. We can put our head in the sand. We can kick and scream and yell and cry and do all these things. But gosh, it's not going away. And ultimately, we need to evolve. And gosh, I will just say this until the cows come home. And Tom, you say the same thing. We just need to evolve with it. And the market will evolve with it. Ultimately, and gosh, and I tell this story. When in the late 1990s, I installed voiceover IP phone systems, and it was early adopted technology, and the calls would drop, there would be horrible sound, it would sound echoey, and everybody said, this technology sucks, it's never going to last. Well, guess what, everyone? We use it today, and we don't even realize that we use it. So give yourself, I say, for any large disruptor of technology, right, which happens for all of us, like home studios were a disruptor of technology. Digital music, MP3s were a disruptor of technology. Synthetic voices, they're a disruptor of technology. I say let it evolve a good 10 to 15 years because that's what I saw for voice over IP. And then it's going to be seamlessly integrated somewhere in some way that will become the norm. And that is something that if we do not accept that, right, the norm, then it's going to be hard for us to be in business.
Yeah, pay-to-plays are now what was once disruptive 15 years ago is now part of the norm. And I know this because my direct marketing and indirect marketing strategies became, over a span of a few years, far less effective. My cold calls, my emails, my blogging, my newsletters, my social media, all of it just took a nosedive in effectiveness because those clients that I was courting or working with via direct and indirect marketing strategies went to pay-to-play sites.
And why? Because it was easy for them.
Easier,
it was convenient.
faster. Yes.
Convenient and fast. And isn't that the whole idea behind the technology? So another myth, and I'm going to say that goes along with this, is that technology is a disruptor and we can fight it and we can stand up together and we can stop. What we can do is we can maybe stop unfair usage, right, through technology of our voices, but we're not going to stop the technology itself.
No. Technology is designed to make lives easier.
Exactly,
wheel.
and convenient. And human nature is to do those things, right, that will be easier, right? And again, I say it all the time. I use Alexa. I talk to Alexa all the time. I use new softwares on my computer that are faster, easier, new apps that I download. Oh my God, this is going to be great. I can do this now. I can now record this, or I can do this so much easier. I've got Rocket Money tracking my subscriptions. Oh my God, that's fantastic. This technology, AI, synthetic voices, all this stuff that we are fighting and screaming about, it happens. And at some point, we do evolve with it without necessarily having a complete impact, just the one of us, right? I will say, though, this is in no way reflective of my thoughts about the strike right now, because I do believe that you can fight collectively for rights that are due to you. You just cannot stop the technology.
Yes, because do you think back in the day when the wheel was invented that there were people who were protesting the use of the wheel because it was disrupting whatever business they were that was disrupted by wheels? No, it's insane. Everyone's like, of course you use the wheel. It makes your life easier. Pay-to-plays make voice seekers' lives easier. And it also makes it easier for us because instead of spending so much time going on Google and LinkedIn and creating all these marketing campaigns, which you should do and can do, and it can be effective.
Well, I think it just adds to your marketing plan, right?
It complements it.
There's not one size fits all because direct marketing can be effective if you've got a plan, right? I mean, I have a direct marketing package. I mean, Tom, I know you do direct marketing.
I do.
And it will work. But I think to be just the one solution, I think you've got to really just grab as many solutions as you can and get yourself out in front of as many people as you can to have more and more opportunities.
Absolutely.
Really.
Absolutely.
So what's another myth, Tom?
Well, the union. That's another one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The myth is that if you want to be a successful voice actor, you have to join the union. SAG-AFTRA we're talking about. The other myth is that if you are not in SAG-AFTRA, you are by definition unethical.
Yeah.
Okay? And I have had conversations with both people who are desperate to get into SAG-AFTRA because they think that once they enter SAG-AFTRA, they will automatically be successful as a voice actor, which is not true.
That will be the top echelon of being in voiceover.
Which is not necessarily true. And I've spoken to SAG-AFTRA members who think I am scum. And I've been pursuing voiceover and charging industry standard rates for 25 years. But I am a scumbag because I am not in SAG-AFTRA.
Isn't our rate guide based off of SAG-AFTRA to begin with anyways?
Absolutely.
I think that's everything started that way. I mean, I remember when I started quoting people jobs and it was all based on SAG-AFTRA rates. And then ultimately GVAA, everybody talks about GVAA rate guide, which is amazing.
Yes.
But that evolved after a bunch of us that have been in the industry for 5,000 years had developed our own rate sheets in our own painstaking ways. And by the way, that's another myth, Tom, that we can talk about in just a minute. That's the myth of like there's a specific amount to charge per job. Okay.
Yeah, we can hit that.
But let's finish talking about the union. And I based my rates off of union. And I thought, oh God, am I a horrible actor if I don't join the union? Or I must join the union.
Right.
And once I do so, I will have made it. And so in reality, you just have to understand what jobs the union is supporting and behind and helping to serve their client base.
Right. And for the record, I am non-union, but I am pro-union. I am pro-collectively bargained rates, protecting everybody, make sure everybody gets paid a fair amount.
Agreed.
And health and pension and all of that stuff. But as a voice actor who's early in your journey, you want to make the same exact calculation about SAG-AFTRA as you do about agents, which we just talked about a second ago, which is what kind of work do I want to have? What's my perfect voiceover day? What genres of voiceover am I doing? And are those casting opportunities that I want, are they union driven? So if you want to do Class A national commercials, yes, you need to be in SAG-AFTRA. Do you want to narrate audiobooks? Well, you can be in SAG-AFTRA because there's very specific contracts, which I don't pretend to understand the intricacies of, but you can be union or non-union and do audiobooks, and it can contribute to your health and pension. And I know a lot of people, I know you do too, whose path into and staying in the union is through audiobooks.
Alone.
And they make a great living and they get their health and pension and everything's fantastic. So it just all depends. If you want to be an e-learning narrator, must you join SAG-AFTRA? Not necessarily. It all depends on what kind of work you're getting, where are you getting it, and then there's the whole, you can turn non-union into union work, but that's a whole other conversation. But yes, you go through the same thought process of, will being an agent make me an effective voice actor for my definition of success, and will joining SAG-AFTRA make me or contribute to making me an effective voice actor based on my definition of success?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now let's get to that point where there's a magic number to charge for every specific job. So I like to address this one because I think, Tom, you and I both, we're in the trenches, okay? In the trenches where there weren't a lot of Facebook groups, before there were voiceover conferences, before there was really the internet. I mean, I'm not saying not before there, although the internet really became big in the early 1990s.
Remember, but social media.
But social media and all of this collective networking online, which has really brought a wealth of information, I should say, to us as voice actors and for our businesses. It didn't exist. And so Tom and I feel like, get off my lawn. I had to walk 10 miles to the voiceover booth and I had to drive uphill in the snow, and there was no one there to tell us what to charge. No one.
Nope.
And literally, I swear to God, from the air, I pulled rates. I didn't know what to do. The only thing I had available at the time was SAG-AFTRA rates. And all the SAG-AFTRA rates didn't really talk about e-learning. No. So in reality, I just pulled it from the air. I pulled it from the air based upon what I thought my time was worth. And I'm going to say we clawed our way into creating our rate sheets. And remember, Tom, when it was a big thing, do we publish our rate sheets or do we not?
Yeah.
I always say no, every job is negotiable. No. Every job is negotiable.
Terrible idea.
But honestly, there is no magic number for really any of it. There's a baseline. There's a guideline.
Yeah.
Today, we have all sorts of references. We have SAG-AFTRA, we have GVAA, we have Gravy for the Brain, all those wonderful guides that give us ideas on what to charge. But is there a perfect number for a live announce that's going to happen 3 days in a row? And what do you charge on the third day if it's only half a day? That kind of thing. And you're going to be sharing the mic with another person, that kind of thing. When there's all sorts of special circumstances, is there a perfect number for that? And why isn't it in the rate guide? There just isn't. And guys, sometimes you just got to pull it from the air or your rear end. That's what I say. I just pull it. That's where I got that number.
And there's no shame.
There's no shame in that.
And there's no shame in just asking the client, what's your budget?
Yes. Oh my God.
And they say,
so simple.
The boss gave me this amount of money to work with. And either you're comfortable with that number or you're not.
Or you're not.
And if it's within 10, 20% of what you normally charge, take it. Do it.
Yeah. That's, I think, one of the smartest things you can do is ask what the budget is.
Yeah.
Like, you might only want to charge them, I don't know, a few $100s, but then their budget might be $1,000. I'm like, oh, yeah, I think I can manage that.
Right.
And so always asking the budget, and that's rule one of negotiations, right?
Yeah.
Ask what the budget is.
And it's funny, Anne, and I know you know this, is that budgets are usually set in advance for departments and whatever for often the year or sometimes the quarter or whatever. And these people that we're working with know that if they don't use all of that budget, next year their budget may be smaller because they didn't use all of that budget.
Oh my God, you just brought your corporate to me. I love it.
Yeah. So sometimes they want to pay you more than you would normally charge because they want to make sure they can get this same budget for next year. So that actually puts you at an advantage, not over them, but with them.
Are you with me in terms of, have we not more than once thought about, oh gosh, if I were to go on the corporate side and charge my coaching fees for corporate or what I do for corporate and a corporate rate?
I'd be putting zeros at the end of my hourly rates.
That's exactly it. I mean, remember guys, companies have budgets. And again, departments fight like hell for budgets, right? And they fight like hell to get bigger budgets so that they can be successful. And really, are they caring so much about the company? Well, in reality, I think the people within the companies and within the departments, we all just want to feel loved, right?
Yeah.
We want to do a good job. We want to be appreciated and loved for what we do. And that's really what it is. So you cannot scrape me away from loving the corporate market for sure. In a lot of ways. I may not work for a corporation anymore in the traditional sense, but I certainly do in voiceover land. I work for them and I understand that budget. So there is no magic number for what will it cost me to do 3 pages of on-hold messages for this company that they said their budget is only this amount. What should I do? A lot of times, guys, you really just have to learn the subtle art of negotiation.
Yes.
And sometimes that number just is made up. I'm just going to say, did I say it? It's made up, guys, sometimes.
And most of the time, it's not about you taking advantage of them or trying to take advantage of you. It's not about, and this is what most of our students and go through, is like they're terrified that if they're too aggressive, the client's going to walk away, and if they're not aggressive enough, they're going to get taken advantage of. I'd say at least 80% of the time, that is not the case at all. They've got this budget, they've got this thing to do, they found you, they like you, they want to give you money to say stuff out loud, which is what you want. So most of the time, you're going to be fine. And I've got so many clients that'll be like, 400, they'll be like, okay. Or just same as last time, okay. Or, hey, it's a new year. Can I up this by $50? And they go, okay.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's just easy peasy. And here's one other thing I'll say.
It is a thing, guys, upping your price. It is a thing.
Use the workaround of the rate guides. I don't charge this rate. This is the industry standard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can use that.
Yeah,
so, do
absolutely.
we have time for one more myth?
All right, one more myth. We got time for one more myth. What do you got, Tom?
The AI myth. Well, which we don't even know is a myth yet, not because it's still too early.
That could be an entire podcast episode. But okay, let's start. Well,
just the inkling of the myth that AI is going to take all of our jobs.
They're going to take our jobs away. Yeah, no.
Right.
And look, I'm a technology buff. I worked in technology for, 20 some odd years. I love technology. Tom and I are on multiple panels talking about AI. And honestly, is it going to take our jobs away, Tom?
It has the potential to take a small percentage of some of our jobs away. I think that's reasonable. Now,
but I think the mass panic right now, I think, Tom, is maybe good because it will get people's attention and mostly our attention, right? I wanted to get the people in the industry's attention so that they can educate themselves on how to be smart, right? About their business.
Right.
And that means don't let anybody take advantage of you. Don't let anybody put something in a contract that will allow them to steal your voice or use your voice in perpetuity forever and ever and ever without your knowledge, or create a synthetic voice. And that's what is going on now. I think that a big part of the strike is got that AI rider in there, and that companies need to compensate us. If they're going to use the technology and utilize our creative assets, right? Then we need to be compensated for that. And we need to be compensated fairly. And that's what I think we are all fighting for. And as long as you are smart about that and you educate yourself, and again, VO Boss has done over 30 episodes of talking. I talk to CEOs of companies who make voices. I talk to industry leaders in the AI industry. I've talked to Tom. I'm going to be presenting next week, actually, at an AI conference talking about ethical rights for voice artists in synthetic voices. So, guys, educate yourself on that. We will have to evolve along with that technology, but stay on top of it and understand how you can run your business around that.
Right. One quick thing all the way on the other side of it is that there are certain voice actors and groups of voice actors on social media who are perpetuating the myth that AI is not going to take away any of our jobs. And if you are just doing nothing but direct marketing, you're going to be perfectly fine. That is also not true. It's not true because that means they are ignoring the reality of technology that is affecting our industry.
Don't put your head in the sand.
Don't put your head in the sand either.
Don't put your head in the sand. Yeah, absolutely. And just understand and evolve. And again, I'm of the belief that there is that percentage of the market, like we talked about in the beginning, right? The bottom feeders, right? The bottom feeders that don't care about the quality of the voice, right? The top quality of voice is not on their budget or on their brain, then they're going to use synthetic voice. And there's nothing you're going to do to stop that, right? Because it's going to be convenient and it's going to be easy and it's going to be cheaper. Okay. Now, I'm always the perpetuator manifesting. I am a celebrity voice. I am an influencer, right? Tom, you are an influencer. If somebody wants to use my synthetic voice, they're going to have to compensate me for it. And I'm not going to be cheap, right? Because my brand is not cheap. And I'm not saying it's going to be more expensive than my human voice, but I'm certainly going to be able to, sure, I can cut you a deal on that, right? But it's not going to be pennies. I'll tell you that, because my voice is worth something, my influence, the way that I can help brand and market for a company. I am holding true to that. Now, whether a company chooses to buy into that and pay me fairly, then that's awesome. If they don't, they don't. I say no to it, right? And that's it. And my voice is protected. Just like any other type of job that I would do, right? If you are not going to pay me what I am worth, this is my price, then that's okay. I will spend that time looking for people who will. Simple as that, right? Good topic. Oh my gosh, we could probably go on. Maybe we should have part 2 of the myths.
Ooh, we can do that.
I think we should do that. So bosses, Tom, thank you again for another amazing real talk with the bosses. We totally appreciate you. Bosses, simple mission, big impact, 100 voices, 1 hour, $10,000. If you need to know more or if you want to know more, find out at 100voiceswhocare.org and join us. And big shout out to sponsor IPDTL. You too can connect and network like bosses, like Tom and I. Find out more at IPDTL.com. You guys have an amazing real week, and we'll see you next week. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your host, Ann Ganguza. And take your business to the next level. Sign up for our mailing list at voboss.com and receive exclusive content, industry revolutionizing tips and strategies, and new ways to rock your business like a boss. Redistribution with permission, coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.